Hello, my name is Jerron Vale from the Missouri Department of Higher Education and Workforce Development. Our equity project began a little over a year ago with a vision for addressing inequities and educational disparities for Missouri citizens. The department's desire is to build a careful process for addressing inequities and show our commitment toward equitable outcomes for all Missourians aligned with our vision to empower every Missourian with the skills and education needed for success. The Building Bridges series is an informative look at how Missouri's colleges, universities, and community organizations are addressing equity. We hope you learn from these shared experiences, and thank you again for joining us.
Good morning. My name is Natissia Small, and I serve as Assistant Provost for Access and Academic Support at the University of Missouri, St. Louis. I'm really excited to be here and just share a little insight with you about how to create a sustainable college access program, past, present, and pandemic. I want to begin by just giving a little bit of a historical perspective. And here's what we know about college access. We know that college access increases challenges that are occurring in the current educational system. And we have all been called to an immediate action to take a focus on creating interventions that will promote college persistence among youth, specifically minoritized groups. The exploration of college access programs and the role of influencing persistence in retention and degree attainment, it has existed for decades. Early intervention is imperative to aid in combating the college attrition rates, and college access programs have historically been structured to provide services that will improve awareness and persistence to degree completion. Parental involvement is also extremely key because it provides this process for us to have the ability to foster a college-going aspiration among youth, which is imperative, but also an extremely important factor, which is the parental support and encouragement is very key to this success. College access programs have been in existence for decades. And again, we just want to make sure that we highlight that it is designed to increase college preparedness, attendance, and ultimately degree attainment. So how do we stand as educators in this new time that we're in? And we have been, on the battlefield for a long time. And there's a call to action for us, which is to break barriers. We've been called to combat student underpreparedness, increase educational access, and dismantle educational inequities, provide early exposure to the college environment, support educational efforts of our K-12 partners, equip the family unit with resources, provide access to a variety of resources, increase college readiness and college enrollment, provide early career exploration, and prepare students by intentionally building skill sets that are designed for today's workforce. Who benefits from this? The family unit. And that's something that I just like to highlight that we keep as the key focal point in the efforts that we do. Oftentimes we spend a lot of hours and a lot of days doing this important work, but I always find it something to just keep the motivation going by understanding that our work to increase college preparedness and college access and affordability, it benefits the family. So how do we define college access? For the purpose of this presentation, it's defined as efforts to encourage 7th through 12th grade students' early awareness, preparedness, and matriculation to a post-secondary educational or technical training institution. Such efforts include engaging the family, engaging our campus community partners, K-12 institutions, and all of us coming together in a collaborative effort to promote student persistence to degree completion. One of the things that are very key to developing college access programs, in my experience, is ensuring that we have built a very comprehensive support model. So we look at our typical student support model, and you can see it's all over the place. There are students that are directed to go here for advising, academic support here. How do we get our basic needs met here? What do we do? Is mental health important? Do we place that in the forefront when we talk about college access? The typical student support model is not combined, it's not collaborative. What we want to do is shift that thought process, and you see it in conversation in the higher education sector, but we need to be conducting these same type of models when we talk about college access programming, and that is building a holistic student support model. One of the other important things that I really like, and this was a great diagram that I found that just kind of focuses on why this comprehensive college support holistic learning model is important. And these are all the different facets that we need to keep in the forefront of our thoughts as we are developing college access programs. We want to make sure that we're not only touching on those intellectual parts of making sure that students are prepared academically, but we also need to be very aware of the environment that they're in. What are some of the concerns and issues? What are resources that the family unit needs there? How do we increase the financial stability of the family? What do we do? Having those conversations, bringing in those leaders that can do presentations that will help families learn how they can obtain wealth in a very positive way. What are those things that can help promote the sense of belonging and connection for students? Not only in their high schools, but also just in general. How do we develop this support system? How do we expose students to this? And occupational, how do we begin to help students understand that finding that one bright star as they're developing their career plan, what is it that drives and motivates them? What is it that they will find to be enriching? And then including all of these different components in the college access environment that goes back to talking about what that holistic student support model is all about. I now will begin to highlight the UMSL Bridge program. And what we have done for 35 years at UMSL is provided unique and comprehensive college access services for students and parents in the St. Louis metropolitan area. Bridge equips students with academic enrichment, diversity programming, college planning, professional development, and focusing on those competencies that are very critical for student success and a successful matriculation to college. We do that by providing some very key pre-collegiate support services, sponsoring math and science after-school clubs that can be built and tailored to address some of those remediation needs that students need, while also being able to provide just an outlet for them to get with their peers and work with their faculty in their high school setting and focus on different type of projects and building culminating activities that can be taken and presented in front of corporate leaders. We also offer middle summer school and also academy programs for our 9th through 12th grade students. We also have a Saturday Academy program as well. We're very proud of our parent component. We'd like to make sure that parents remain in the forefront of sitting down and understanding what's available for them, understanding how to support their student in navigating this entire college process, including programs that will focus on the ACT, SAT. Those are also very important. And we offer a program that focuses on that component also. And I mentioned earlier, but the sponsorship of the math and science after school clubs are also very critical. And so being able to provide students with an opportunity to focus on projects that range from a topic focusing on engineering and robotics to creating a newsletter that will help students do well in their math class and what that will look like, all led by students within the high school. The Eyes on Diversity program is one that we have in place with the College of Optometry. And this provides a great opportunity for us to promote students in being encouraged to get involved in a career field that they may not be exposed to, but also in a field that will just be important for students, especially underrepresented students, to have their face in that particular field of study. We also conduct a Spend the Summer Right program, which really focuses on, encouraging students to to adapt and understand what those critical skill sets that are needed for competencies that they will be carrying on far well into the higher ed sector, but also where they are right now in high school. We bring community leaders in for networking and mentoring. We also offer commit to success workshops, and really that evolved out of COVID for the college access side. And so we're really touching on a lot of those topics that again focuses on that holistic model that I mentioned before. So we're talking about socio-emotional well-being, how to thrive in a virtual world, how to still maintain those partnerships and get involved in those supports that allow students to combat social isolation. All of that is a part of that college prep talk series that have been developed. And then also developing and having scholarship opportunities for students. We know that there's a financial gap. And so creating those opportunities for students to move forward and have those finances available is really key. And so we have some very great scholarship programs for students that participate in our college access program. We offer, again, as I've said before, a very comprehensive student support model, which focuses on early college campus exposure and engagement, getting students on campus and having them to have that opportunity to connect with our current students on campus, but also just to understand what the environment and culture is like. That early exposure means a lot for students and families. We provide individualized college planning. And so they're sitting and they're working directly with staff on campus, and they're developing what their college plan looks like, what's going to be the best fit for them. We also provide college academic enrichment coursework. And so as students participate in our academies, they are taking courses in math, science, and there's also an English component that also includes work on effective communication, being able to grasp those key things that students will be able to see on assessment tests moving forward. And of course, career research, assessment, and identification is also key. We want to make sure that students are aware of what the career options are in the community. We want to make sure that they have the resources available, that they take an assessment as early as their 9th grade year, just to begin to identify what career do I have an interest in? What does my skill set say based on this assessment? And then understanding just how to navigate the college admissions process, being aware and having those hands-on experience with completing a college application, working with our admissions team. You know, all of those things are very critical, and it demystifies that whole process of what it takes to get into college, how to apply, financial literacy workshops, making sure that families are aware, that students are aware. They know how to complete a FAFSA. They know how to research scholarship opportunities, not only at the university, but what's available in their own backyard. Their parents could be working at an organization where scholarships are available there, making sure that they're aware of the community resources and scholarship offers that are available in that sector as well. Parent workshops and engagement activities. We are most proud of our work that we do with the families. And so creating a model that focuses on parents, that have topics that are created, that focuses on not only how to be a resource for their student, but teaching families how to navigate the college application process, how to complete a FAFSA and meet those very important deadlines. Helping families to understand what it takes to have a healthy home. And so we have topics that focuses on building effective family-student relationship, effective communication with your student, understanding the trends and the pressures that students are dealing with right now. And so families have been very engaged in activities. And if we offer those to the families, they will come because they have a strong interest in knowing. Also, cultural enrichment is really key. Making sure that we're bringing topics that focuses on diversity, equity, and inclusion conversations, being a part of that for students. developing those training sessions are also very key. And then professional networking opportunities. We bring in community leaders. And so bring folks in that you have connections with in the community that can help and serve on panel discussions and talk to students about, their journey of what it took for them to overcome obstacles and get to this point where they're moving up the ladder and in those positions where they are right now. What did it take? And so engaging students in those conversations and networking with people that have similar fields of interest that they have is also very, very important. And then again, as I shared before, you want to include standardized test preparation. And although we've gone test optional really a lot in most institutions nationwide, this is still also a very important component while it currently exists, is to make sure that students are prepared. And so still offering that opportunity while institutions, there's still some that are using ACT and SAT as a criteria for admittance. And so we want to make sure that we have students prepared. And then supporting your school districts and providing volunteer opportunities for students so they're meeting that particular criteria that they have in their high school and many for graduation. So how do we implement access and academic holistic support models? Expand and enhance your college access programming and support services for students and guardians in the St. Louis community. Create structures that will empower students to become actively involved in their schools and for us on the UMSL campus and for you within your organization or your campus that you reside. Implement workshops that focus on academic, socio-emotional well-being, leadership skill building, professional development, and cultural enrichment. Create programming and events to promote faculty and staff student connectedness beyond the classroom. So engage students with faculty on campus, whether you are an internal or external organization on a college campus that provides access programs. We have amazing faculty and staff that will volunteer to help students to just, no longer be shy or intimidated about having conversations with faculty so that they can advocate for themselves when they do attend college. Establish strong cross-functional collaboration with our K-12 partners and ensure that high-touch practices are being utilized to support the individual student in their district. It is not a help to school districts and those that we work with if we're just doing cookie-cut type processes. We need to make sure that we understand what are the dynamics in the school buildings, what's missing, what are the needs that educators have selected, and they said, this is where we need help. This is where we need that additional support to help our students thrive and to become college ready. So evaluating those, having those ongoing conversations, and then creating those high touch practices will be extremely key. Create opportunities for students to receive additional tutorial support for courses that they're enrolled in, not only in their college access program that they're involved in. For us, it's the Bridge program, but also in their school or their after school club sponsorship or any of your academy functions that you may hold. Include tutorial support. Make sure that you have, your instructors be involved in conducting office hours or just being accessible to support a student who may have a basic question or they're challenged in a particular course that they're dealing with in their school. And then I just can't reiterate enough that it is very key to practice having those strong collaborative approaches to keep students, counselors, and their families engaged by providing prescriptive interventions and wraparound supports. The target population that we specifically focus on through the UMSL Bridge program is K-12. And right now, we are, due to resources, focusing on middle and high school students. Programming is open to all public, private, and homeschool students. SES status is not used as a qualifier for participation. And partnerships with our K-12 educators and community organizations remain strong. And again, having that strong parent engagement and supports through our programming. Again, the model that I just want to share that we have in place that has worked very effectively for us at the UMSL Bridge program is that college campus exposure, academic preparation and enrichment in core courses, college admissions advising, awareness, and experience. So again, that hands-on experience with how to navigate the different systems for completing college applications, how to write essays, all of those things that are really important when students are applying to institutions throughout the United States. Financial aid advising, literacy, and support assistance. So conducting workshops and having those to be held so the students and families, you're just not giving them the resources, but you're actually providing workshops so that you can get those applications filled. And just as a little bit of a bragging point, we're very proud of all the seniors that we work with, which is about 130 to 150 a year. We average about 100% FAFSA completion rate. But that comes with making sure that we've been building this conversation with families about the importance of meeting those deadlines throughout the entire process of them being involved in the program. We also want to make sure that in your college access service model, that you infuse this personal professional development component as well. That's very important in the process. You want to make sure that students have the ability to research their career interest, identify, and for some, it may be 2 or 3 careers that they've identified, but at least they can research and begin to explore those options. Prepare them for the college entrance exams, whether it be ACT or SAT. You still want to make sure that you have that included in your access model. Socio-emotional support, it has always been important and critical, but it's even more critical right now. Our students are combating a lot, and so we're combating social isolation. We're combating depression and anxiety. COVID has brought on all of these different and heightened these different emotional supports that are needed. And this is a time that we need to not decrease, but continue to make them available and continue to get families and students connected to the resources that are there. And again, as I shared, if you're an external organization, find an institution that you can get students networked with faculty and staff, and then leaders in the community. And then, as I shared before, the process of scholarship research and application completion and what the awarding process looks like. How do students understand the award letter is only by us sharing with them how they do that. That's another huge barrier that we often put at the very bottom of concern, but it is something that parents and students need to know. They need to understand how award letters look. What are you accepting when it comes to loans or a grant? Even though with grant is free, explaining that and sharing that information with families and putting sample award letters before them is also very critical. So how do you do that? And what do you do to make sure that you have this support service model that's in place? And what are some of the key components that you can include? Restructure your support services that will include and foster a sense of belonging for each student. Provide effective resources to promote academic achievement. Promote student accountability and goal setting, and motivate them to persist. Provide high-touch supports with intrusive coaching for focal populations. Assist students with leadership in professional development. Have a staff person serve as a campus liaison and provide resources to participating students in need. Provide the socio-emotional support with targeted workshops for minoritized students and families. Provide ongoing cross-training amongst your college access team. Implement best practices and information sharing. And one thing I like to highlight about best practices, as you are identifying best practices that will fit your particular college access program, you want to make sure that you take a deeper dive and implement those best practices that fit who you're serving. It's great to utilize best practices, but it's not going to be effective if you're not using those practices that really fit the population that you're serving. Make sure you're in communication with schools and school districts to reduce overlap and access services to minimize but also maximize supports that can be offered throughout the region. And assess the needs of the whole family and provide supports or resources. For example, you may have a family that's in need due to food insecurity, housing needs, or counseling support. You want to make sure that you have those resources as well as those connections built with individuals in the community that can help provide these supports and services for students and families that participate in your access program. So, what else should you do? Centralize your college access efforts. And if you're on a college campus, centralize them under your academic support model. We did that at UMSL, and we have a unit called Student Academic Support Services, where it's a tiered system for any student that have participated in our college access program and they matriculate to their university. They will maintain that same type of high touch support through our academic support service departments on campus. Work with your area K-12 partners to ensure that student and family issues are included in your program offerings. Make it very intentional that you target course offerings to address the challenges, the courses that are challenging students the most. Build your support services and your academic support courses that you're getting them involved in to emulate what they're dealing with in their high schools. You want to make sure that you're providing them with the opportunity to build those skill sets that are going to be critical for them to be successful. And you really won't be able to go far unless you establish a very strong, trusting, and collaborative relationship with students and parents. Maintain clear and ongoing communication efforts to your organization that you reside, with the community, and also other college campus access providers, and make sure that you're getting them aware, make them aware of student support offerings. Create clear academic support expectations with consistent training and information building. Include diversity, inclusion, and equity in the curriculum. Collaborate with your K-12 partners and community leaders. I've shared this and I've mentioned this several times, but this is critical. You have to bring everyone together to have a conversation about what the needs are, not only just in the region, but also within their particular district and school buildings. What are those needs and how can you support their efforts? And you have to have a very student-centered approach, no longer transactional, to a holistic service-oriented model. The successes of that, I just wanted to share, can be great. Implementing many of these practices that I've mentioned. This just gives you a little bit of a snapshot of how we've grown and evolved at the Bridge program at UMSL. You know, we started out with very few districts that were involved and very few schools, and frankly, not many students that were involved in the program. And I'm very proud to say that by being very intentional in our efforts of working with our K-12 partners, making sure that we have strong parent and student programming, we are now serving more than 5,000 in the St. Louis region. And so you can see here from the chart the impact that we've had and the number of folks that are involved in making this program a success. I also like to share just a little bit of our college access outcomes in our Bridge program. Right now, we've made strong partnerships with more than 140 local and private high schools in the St. Louis region. Approximately 56% of our graduating senior participants attend our UMSL campus. Now, the Bridge program is not specifically for students to attend UMSL, but to put on my UMSL hat, we definitely would love for our students to attend our university. But the great thing about Bridge is that we're able to have students attend institutions throughout the nation. In fact, we just graduated out our class last weekend of 2021 graduate student graduating Bridge senior participants. And we had more than 130 colleges, universities, and institutions nationwide that our students have been accepted to. Collectively, our 2021 Bridge seniors have been offered more than $4 million in scholarship support from various institutions nationwide, with 16% receiving full ride scholarship offers to at least one college or university, and 60% receiving 2 or more scholarship offers. We do a lot of that through our college admission process that we have on campus. We actually offer a course through the Bridge program for students that participate in our academies. And so completing college applications, doing the scholarship applications as well, all of that is a part of the curriculum in a course that they take. And as a result, we have maintained 100% high school graduation and college matriculation rate since 2003. And that is something we are very proud of, with at least 50% of our students being admitted to 4 or more institutions nationwide. And last, but certainly not least, I thought it'd be important to share that we average approximately 300 to 500 parents that participate in our Saturday Academy sessions. And many times I'm asked, what do you offer to parents? What is the incentive? We don't provide an incentive. We provide the resources. We're providing the topics. We assess our parents after each session to find out what is it that you need from us in a workshop? What topic of discussion will you like for us to have presented and available for you? And that has seemed to be very, very beneficial for us because it helps us to continue to engage parents in our activities, but also it helps them to be a resource to their student. But we challenge them, because this is a free service to our students and families, we challenge them by taking the charge to go back into the community and share all of this information that we're sharing with them, to share it with those that they are encountering it. And I just wanted to give a little bit of a snapshot of what we currently offer for the upcoming summer. And more information will be made available and sent out through different types of media that we have going right now on campus, but also just in the St. Louis region about what we offer to students throughout the summer. And so we have our Summer Academy that is for students grades 10 through 11, Bridge to ACT. It is an intensive week-long program for rising seniors. We have a Spend the Summer Right, which again covers those topics that are really imperative regarding outlining and writing and editing for the Common Application, for scholarship applications. The Commit to Success, our college prep talks, I mentioned that a little bit earlier. And again, due to COVID, that was something that we implemented just last summer, but it has really taken off, and we continue to do those workshops throughout the academic year. We also took advantage of COVID and listened to our parents about just needing to have something for their student. And so we launched our middle school component just summer 20 as well. And then this summer, in addition to all of the above, we're launching the Eyes on Diversity program. And again, that is exposing 11th and 12th grade students to learn more about what it takes to become an optometrist and what it takes to become a primary health care provider. And so we're really excited about that opportunity. And this is just a snapshot of our amazing students on campus. Our motto is engage, empower, and educate. And so I believe that with all of you, if you find that these tips and strategies that I've shared to be beneficial, you too will have success in your program. And last but not least, just wanted to highlight, this is a recent article, just what we have from last Saturday of our 35th award recognition ceremony, just so that you can learn about the phenomenal students that we support, the families that we support, and how we're able to engage them. I want to thank you for your time, and I am open to answer any questions that you might have.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much for staying with us. We do have Dr. Small with us today. How are you today, Dr. Small? Thank you so much for joining us. We have a few questions for you that we'll get to. Really appreciate you did answer a few of those in the chat. Greatly appreciate that. I'll go to the first one here and read this, and you can expound if you like. Someone asked a question. Let's see. is this all developed through the Student Success Office? And you responded, thank you, Beverly. The Bridge program is housed within the Student Academic Success Unit in Academic Affairs at UMSL, and you did give the website. Did you want to add anything to that, or?
Yeah, sure. At first, thank you all for being here today. I really appreciate this opportunity to share with you what has been successful for us with our College Access Initiative, primarily through the Bridge program. To answer the question, the Bridge program is through the Office of Pre-Collegiate Student Services, which is housed in Academic Affairs. The unit it resides in is the Student Academic Support Service Office. I did place the link inside of the chat just in case anyone wants to link. And then you will be able to see that tiered model that I kind of mentioned. One of the great things that we have within the SAS unit is from the access pipeline portion, and then we're moving into the academic support and retention effort of students. And it is built on a very tiered model intentionally. So thank you for that question. And if there's anything on the website that you would like to have a deeper dive and conversation on, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help.
Wonderful, thank you. Thank you for that. Another question, how long did it take for you to plan and establish the comprehensive student support model at UMSL?
Wow, I chuckle. Wow. It has taken some time to build the Bridge program to where it is today. I'm still amazed. I started in the Bridge program as a counselor in 2003. And at that time, we pretty much had about 50 students in our summer program, maybe 120 students top. Some of the key things that were done that to assist the program with really establishing a rapport regarding the effectiveness was, number one, we had to build a brand that was built based on conversations and focus groups with not only the faculty and staff on campus, but it literally meant getting out and paving the streets, so to speak, connecting with our counselors and building and establishing that rapport. That started in 2003. And one of the things we've been very fortunate of is that word of mouth has really paid off with the Bridge program. And so even though I have what I like to call, we are a small but mighty team, it has resulted in us being able to get to that point of word of mouth really serving as our recruitment model and touching more than 5,000 families annually right now. It did take some time to do this work. I can't tell you that it didn't go without a lot of sacrifices and time, but the hard work truly does pay off. And so if you're an institution that is very committed to the social mobility of students and their families, and you're really committed to community engagement, which UMSL has proven greatly with the Bridge program, you will take on the charge and do the very hard work. In fact, one of our very own, I just saw, I'm not sure if she's still on, but Amber Mitchell is an amazing testament of, and she's a great story, and I date myself a little bit when it comes to her, but she was a high school student. She was a graduate assistant. She was a Bridge program coordinator, and now she is a phenomenal counselor in the St. Louis area. And so when you see that there is an Amber Mitchell and many others, the work pays off to do this work. And so it has taken a little bit of time to do that, but it all starts with establishing that relationship with your students and parents and building that collaborative partnership and trusting relationship with the school districts. That is the priority right there, is that you've got to have the school districts buy-in, and you've got to meet their needs and be attentive to the data.
Great, thank you. That's awesome. Did you have any problems with buy-in from administration, staff, and faculty as you built the student support model? What kinds of outreach and professional development opportunities were most helpful in training everyone at UMSL to provide this level of support?
Sure. First, I'll start in, and is that in the chat, I think?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. I'm hit each question. For the buy-in part, Bridge is actually a homegrown program, and so it is the university's program in itself. It is not a grant-funded program, and many people are very surprised because they commonly associate it with the TRIO model, and it's not a part of the TRIO program at all. It was established by Marguerite Ross Barnett, who was the chancellor at UMSL, the first African-American chancellor and female chancellor at UMSL years ago, decades ago, in fact. And she established this program, which really focused on 5 schools at that time. And so really working to kind of shift the mindset about what college access programming was. It was always a priority for our campus in general. It took more work to really establish, pardon me, and build that understanding and relationship with the school districts. And again, that's where the data talks. It means putting the story behind the data, but you need to associate that with what's going on within their school districts. That's going to be key to building out. I'm trying to see where that question is to make sure I answered all of those parts. What else did I miss with that question? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I think you hit everything. Just the second part is what kinds of outreach and professional development opportunities were most helpful in training everyone at UMSL to provide this level of support?
A lot of internal training and utilizing the technology to support students. Specifically, you're focusing on it. And just to clarify, if we're talking about specifically the Bridge program, it took a lot of training in making sure that as higher ed staff members that we understood the differences of supporting the K-12 population, especially the high school age student. There's a difference. There's different needs there. Training staff to understand how to build a holistic model that includes socio-emotional well-being. I have to say the team that helps with managing this and I work alongside with, they're fantastic. We were also members and have been for a very long time with the National College Access Network. And we joined that when it was probably maybe 10 schools involved. And over time, they have grown to be a tremendous organization in itself. Having my staff to participate in conversations with counselors. And so being a part of those discussions, which you kind of see with MOCAN right now. But that was a lot of training. I have a counseling background at heart. And so I also did a lot of things on that level, especially for staff that didn't have a background in counseling. But there's a lot that you can help to support your staff with understanding, even if they don't have that as an educational degree in the background. But I'm very proud to say that all the members that are involved in the Bridge program, both the internal team, but as well as the faculty and staff, this is an important component that is on our campus. And it's rare and it's unique because it is homegrown. And it was an important priority to the institution by the previous chancellor, and it's important right now to our chancellor as well. And so it does take a lot of work and time to invest in this. And I will tell you to never dismiss the data, but also be as attentive to the voice of the student and the parent. And I know it may have sounded like a broken record in the presentation, but that's very key.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to go run through, you answered, thank you, Dr. Small and other people, other colleagues at UMSL for answering the questions that were in the chat. I'll just run through a couple of these just so in case we have somebody on the phone call that can't see the chat. Someone asked how the program was funded, and Dr. Small looks like respondents say that the UMSL Bridge program is an institutional program that's been around for 35 years and primarily funded by campus with external corporate support that has followed us to expand our efforts. And it's a homegrown program, as you mentioned earlier. And then someone also asked, will UMSL remain test optional post-COVID? And I believe one of your colleagues responded, the conversation at many institutions shifting to a hybrid model. I'm sorry, this is, actually, that's not an answer. Sorry about that. Go ahead and answer. If you have an answer, I thought that was the answer to that question. I apologize. Will it remain test optional after COVID?
And I think we have Terry Montgomery that is on here as well. And I do believe right now, and Terry, I don't want to speak for you, but right now we're all kind of in a state of we're currently test optional. Whether or not we will remain that, I think that is still left in discussion, not just for UMSL, but also for the University of Missouri system.
And that's correct. That's correct, Dr. Small. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Terry. And so for the time that we're all in, like many other institutions,
That's where we are at this moment. But I'm not certain as to what the future will hold for us all.
Fantastic. Cool. With the conversation at many institutions shifting to a hybrid model, what does the Bridge team see as their path moving forward? Will virtual spaces be implemented, or will it shift back to completely in person when it is safe? Then the third part of that question, what would you recommend for others as they may be trying to build their access services?
Great. Yeah. So I'm going to take, if there is such a thing, I'm going to take some positive out of COVID. Because what COVID did do for us on the K-12 side of the world when it comes to college access is that it really did allow us to kind of reimagine what our efforts could be. We were all very committed to not stopping the work that we were doing, but it did call for us to shift all of our curriculum to being conducted in a virtual model, similarly like college campuses are. We're using some of the same systems. It allowed us to expand our college access efforts, many of those that you saw listed on that flyer at the end of it. We did not have a middle school component due to funding at that time, but middle school is extremely important to expose students to. And so I think I saw at glance another question that said, at what age? Once we knew that we were able to move to a virtual format, immediately, the ears peaked and we were like, it's now time to throw that middle school component in. And so I encourage everyone that if you have the resources and the opportunity to start as early as the middle school age, please do so. When we talk about underpreparedness and early awareness, middle school is the minimum that we can do. And frankly, Bridge has even created curriculum in the past where we're working with the K-12 population. We used to do a Bridge student for the day and go into the school buildings, and we'd graduate pre-K through fifth grade students, and we adjusted the curriculum to meet their needs. And we had conversations about career options, but the curriculum was tailored specifically for that grade level. And so it took a lot of work and a lot of effort, but it allowed opportunities for students to begin to think. And that's the seed we all want to begin to plant. So if you have that ability to start as early as the sixth grade, I strongly encourage you to do that. But also, if you don't have the ability to put together a full-scale middle school component, then please make sure that you include those opportunities to have conversations with middle school and even below. Again, I mentioned the kindergarten and first grade level. The research is really clear that early preparedness starts at the time the student walks into a school building. And that does not dismiss by any means starting even at the elementary level.
Wonderful, thank you. And I think you might have answered this question already. Do you will virtual spaces be implemented as you go back to?
Yeah, thank you for that. And I'm sorry I got sidetracked on the beating the middle school part.
That's okay.
But definitely with the virtual format, we will be keeping some processes now. We are anxiously awaiting the time to be able to bring back our students onto the campus for our summer and Saturday academies. And so that's grades 9 through 12. That all will come back on campus. We're also excited to see what we can get when it comes to support for the middle school component being on campus too. There will be some virtual pieces that we will keep. For example, our college prep talks. We offer that throughout the virtual format and on different days and also in the evenings. Those will remain virtual. We did not have that component before, but it took off and we will maintain that and offer it in a virtual format. There are some other components that we will keep as well with our parents, just to make some of that flexible. But the majority of all of our offerings will be will continue with bringing families back on campus. There's something about that campus exposure that really allows the student to see themselves where we want them to be. And so we are definitely going to maintain that opportunity for students and have them back on our campus and navigating the buildings and seeing themselves in the seats that they deserve to be in. And so if you have the ability to do that, yes, create some virtual formats. But if you're at an institution or if you're an organization in the community that has the ability to network with a college campus, I strongly encourage you to create those pipeline efforts with the opportunity for students to be on your college campus. And they get to network with faculty and staff and student panels and all of that. And so definitely you want to encourage, I encourage you having that opportunity for them on campus.
Yes, thank you for that. That's good information. And I know for me personally, being a knucklehead in high school, I was a part of a program that actually brought some kids to Lincoln University to say, hey, you can make it in college if you get your stuff together. And that was very influential for me. So yeah, I could do this. This is good. So thank you for that. Along with the examples you give, the recommendations about starting early. Any other recommendation you would make to build an access service program? And also, do you have any literature out, or are you putting together any studies to kind of give to institutions at a later date, possibly?
I only chuckle because one of my goals is to have time to put together a piece of literature and research. So that is on my bucket list, which is sad to say it's on my bucket list. But there is definitely some rich data. In fact, much of my dissertation included some of that. And so I'll be happy to share that with this group as well, that talks about the importance of access and the research behind it. There's a lot of rich research that's out there right now that we all are seeing that really focuses on the holistic aspect of providing academic support, not only for our higher ed population, but I'm very happy to see that it's also becoming critically important and understood that it's important at the K-12 sector. If there's anything final that I think I can add in is that I highlighted much of the work on the bridge program and what we're doing in the St. Louis region. But I am a rural Missourian. And so if you are in a rural area, one of the things that I would emphasize is to create those opportunities for students in rural areas. It's a challenge, and we always question whether or not rural students will move and matriculate, and odds are very much stacked against rural students, especially if you are a first generation, grew up on the farm with horses and pigs and cows like myself. Having that opportunity to put together a academic success plan and a college plan and go into a college campus is really important. And I'm very proud to say that we're having those conversations, and we were able to have rural students in our summer programming this past summer. And that was one of the great opportunities that we had because of COVID. And so please make sure that you include that, especially if you were in a rural setting. It's extremely important. And so I do encourage you to consider that and make it possible.
Awesome, fantastic. Oh, that's great information. And we have one last question. I do apologize if I looked over any more. If you want to send them in the chat at a later date, maybe we can forward those to you, Dr. Small, if we have any more after the session. The final question we have here is, do you collaborate with any local organizations that have students that can benefit from your program?
Yes, we absolutely do. As a matter of fact, when I talk about those collaborative efforts that we have with the community, I mentioned a lot faculty and staff, but I also mentioned our community organization partnerships. And so we do partner with organizations in the community to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion topics, socio-emotional support and well-being. I've even had the Federal Reserve Bank to come in and work with our students and parents on savings, in understanding those financial securities that are necessary for them to thrive and have that lifelong success. But that is just as important, and it has always been a part of what we do in our access efforts, as we have with partnerships that are established with the community. Through some of our corporate funding support that we do have, for example, with Express Scripts, Hugh has been a huge donor of support for the Bridge program. It allowed us to also create internship opportunities for students. And so we were fortunate to have Express Scripts scholars that not only are at UMSL and they were able to obtain tuition support, but they also were provided an internship opportunity based on their major and to work and network with leaders there at their corporation. And so we definitely do that. And it's critical to making sure that your program is going to be successful. I'm really happy and appreciative of all the community organizations that we network with in the St. Louis region to help support our pre-college efforts.
Wonderful, wonderful session. Thank you so much, Dr. Small. I believe that's all the questions we have. Thank you so much for the presentation, for being with us to answer questions. This is very informative. Really appreciate all your time and effort in working with us. We'll have the presentation up and recording soon, and we'll come again next month in May for another session. Thank you again, Dr. Small. Hope you have a good week. You take care.
Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Take care. Thanks.